Good morning everyone. This video is for the students of class 7 and subject is English. In this video, we shall understand the topic voice. Well, you all must be wondering that everybody has their own voice. Then why ma'am is teaching us voice? What we understand in that, but I'm not talking about the modulation in the voice. I'm going to discuss voice and I'm talking here about active and passive voice. It's there in your textbook Wren Grammar lesson 10. Okay, if you all want, you can take the help from a book also. You can keep your book open in front of you while I'm speaking. If there's any doubt, you all are most than welcome. Okay. Active and passive voice. It's a very interesting topic and a very easy also. Let me make it very clear to you all that it's a very easy topic. So, are you all ready to know about the grammar topic voice? Great. So, we shall be discussing about voice in detail. And voice is divided into two parts, active voice and passive voice. So, shall we start? Okay, so let's begin. In simple words, if I tell you what active voice is, basically active voice is when the subject performs the action stated by the verb. I hope everybody knows what subject is. I hope you people know that the sentence is divided into two parts, subject and predicate. Subject about whom we are talking. For example, Ram, he, she, it, right? So, active voice is said to be active when the subject when Ram performed the action stated by the verb, and verb is a doing word, right? So, for example, if I tell you by giving an example, Rita cooks food, right? Rita cooks food. So, Rita is a subject, and what is Rita doing? She's cooking food, right? She cooks food. So, cooks is our verb, right? Now, if I turn you next to passive voice, in simple words, if I tell you that when the subject is acted upon by the verb. So, passive voice is when the subject, okay, for example, the subject in the active voice was Rita, is acted upon by the verb. For example, now if I tell you with the same sentence which we had taken for active voice, like Rita cooks food, and when we are changing into passive voice, we'll say the food is being cooked by Rita. So here, food which was there in active voice, the last of the sentence came first. So that is what we are trying to say here in passive voice, that in simple words, when the subject is acted upon by the verb. Let me make it very clear to you all now by telling you in detail about these active voice and passive voice. So, active voice. In most English sentences with an action verb, the subject performs the action denoted by the verb. I hope everybody has understood what sentences are, what subject is and what verb is, right? So, the example below show that the subject is doing the verb's action. The man must have eaten 5 hamburgers. Just imagine what a healthy man he would have been. He ate 5 hamburgers, right? The man is the subject. I told you first about whom we are talking. That is the subject. Is the man subject is doing the eating. That is verb. Doing the eating, that is verb, right? Because the subject does or acts upon the verb in each sentence, the sentence are said to be in the active voice. I'm repeating the last part of this. Because the subject does or acts upon the verb, okay, in each sentence, the sentence are said to be in the active voice. Clear? Now, moving next to the passive voice. One can change the normal word order of many active sentences, those with a direct object, so that the subject is no longer active but is instead being acted upon by the verb or passive. Note in these examples how the subject verb relationship has changed. Now, if you just see the first example, the man must have eaten 5 hamburgers. Okay. Now, if I'm going to change the same sentence into passive voice, what it will come as? It will come as 5 hamburgers must have been eaten by the man. So hamburger, now in the earlier sentence the man was a subject. Now here hamburger is the subject, right? Are being eaten is the verb, and in the earlier sentence is doing the eating is the verb. Now last point, that's very important because the subject is being acted upon. Okay, now it is being acted upon. Such sentence are said to be in the passive voice. We will understand this topic in great by seeing some of these examples which I've set for you people. There are basically 3 simple formulas which we should apply to change the active sentence to passive voice. So here is a sentence from active to passive voice. We should do the following. Okay, understand these 3 points. Okay, very carefully. Move the active sentence direct object into the sentence subject slot. Okay, active voice. Now when we are changing the active voice to passive voice, for example, Shreya mailed the letter. Okay, that's a direct object, that Shreya mailed the letter. In the passive voice, when we are going to change the sentence that Shreya mailed the letter, what will come first? The letter. Clear? Now, next point that you should keep in your mind. Place the active sentence subject into a phrase beginning. Okay, you can underline this. Phrase beginning with the prepositions by. Now, what are prepositions? In, on, under, by. These all are prepositions. Okay. So, what we are going to do in the next one, we are going to place the active sentence subject into a phrase beginning with the preposition by. Now, when we are changing the active to passive, again, Shreya mailed the letter is a sentence. Okay. So, the letter, the subject that we used in the first one. Now, how we are going to do prepositional phrase? I talked about the prepositional phrase here. So, the prepositional phrase which I have used here is by. The preposition which I have used here is by. So, now Shreya mailed the letter blank by Shreya. Clear? Now the third and the foremost important one, add a form of the auxiliary verb be to the main verb and change the main verb's form. So now when we are changing the active voice to passive voice, again the same sentence, Shreya mailed the letter. So in the first point, what I asked you to put the subject, the direct object as subject, right? So the letter, right? Second one, we had put the prepositional phrase, that is by Shreya. Now an auxiliary verb, that's a helping verb, was mailed. So now the sentence is complete. The letter was mailed by Shreya, and the first active sentence was Shreya mailed the letter. And now when we are changing into passive voice, the complete by using these 3, that you should put the subject first, then prepositional phrase and verb plus be auxiliary. So the letter was mailed by Shreya. That's the complete. So if you people follow these 3 instructions very carefully, you will never go wrong when you are changing the active sentence to a passive voice sentence. Is this much clear to everyone? Okay. Now if I move to the next slide, I have some examples for you all. I have solved these 6 sentences for you all, and the other 8 sentences I have given for you all to solve. Okay. So let's go through them once. The question says, change the sentences from active voice to passive voice. She does not cook food. I want to hide the answers, but I cannot do it right now because we are having these online sessions here. But just close your eyes once you read the sentence, or you can put a book where the answers are there, and I want you people to answer them on your own. She does not cook food. When we are going to change this active sentence into passive voice, what it will be? The food is not cooked by her. If you just go back to the last slide, okay, I told you to put the food first and then the auxiliary verb, right, is not cooked, then a prepositional phrase by her. So if we are following those 3 conditions, we'll be very easy. It will be very easy for us to put active voice to passive voice. Next sentence we go. Peter gave me flowers on my birthday. Wow, Peter gave me flowers.